So musician R. Kelly is accused of sexual abuse, including with underage victims. Now, he's back in jail for failing to pay $160,000 worth of child support. Now, according to the Chicago Sun-Times, Kelly owes this money, but he says he can't afford to pay it. Meanwhile, a federal appeals court may decide to release evidence in the sex abuse and trafficking case of the multimillionaire Jeffrey Epstein. The case also implicates Labor Secretary Alex Acosta, who was part of Epstein's cushy plea deal years ago. One is a music icon, the other one is very well politically connected. For more, return to Ned Ryan, CEO of American Majority. Ned, I wanted to bring you in on this because here you have two different cases, and I have to ask you, is this an issue about race, or is this more an issue about politics and why one's being held accountable, and it seems like the other one might be able to skirt free and has so far because of this?
Well, Scotty, this has been my argument over the last couple of years, and people have, you know, I've been watching some of this uneven application of the law when it comes to Trump and some of his associates, where it seems like there are certain people, if they're connected politically, the law is more a series of suggestions, and if you're not connected correctly politically, you get the full weight of the law thrown against you. And this has been my biggest issue, and people have said, well, it's Trump and his associates, and they've dismissed it for short-term political gain. One of the essences of our country is the rule of law. Part of the rule of the law is everybody stands equal before it, regardless of race, regardless of gender, regardless of political connections. And the other aspect of it is the equal application of the law. And I think that those have become a complete and utter farce right now, because some people have looked at it for short-term political gain. But you're right on this issue. Because Epstein's politically connected and he has a lot of powerful political connections, he's made a lot of political donations, I think he got maybe 13 months in jail. And we're talking about 12-year-old girls, and we're not talking about a dozen or two, but upwards of 80 that we know for sure that they were abused in this whole sexual scandal with Epstein. And he only got 13 months. I mean, this is a travesty, and at some point we have to have this conversation, Scotty. Are we going to go back to the equal application of the rule of law? And if we're not, I think we've got bigger issues as a society.
Well, we definitely have bigger issues, and the fact that this went on for so long. I want to bring in Dee from former state legislature from Georgia. Dee, thank you for joining us on this. This is something very important to you as well as obviously, and this isn't a political thing. So do you think that Epstein got a lighter sentence because of his political connections, Dee? And we have to point out, he has political connections on both sides of the aisle. This is, I mean, he is just as close of friends with Republican presidents as he is to Democrat presidents, as both have been proven to have taken rides on his private jet to the island that is causing a lot of this consternation. So do you think he was able to get a lighter sentence just because of his political connections?
I absolutely do, but not just political connection, but also race. But let's think about this thing. Back in the day, everybody was trying to get on this Lolita Express, and that's what they called the airplane, where they were taking young girls and women all across the world. And so it ranged from people like Donald Trump to Bill Clinton. I mean, he was a free fall for everybody who typically gets engaged in relationships with women they ought not be in relationships with, and especially young girls. But I think money and power goes hand in hand. I think because Acosta at that time was the top, he was the DA in Miami because they were friends. He let him off. I mean, he gave him something that other people would never otherwise get if he had not been politically connected. So we really have to have honest conversations and dialogue about this discrepancy.
Well, that's the thing, Dee, are we looking at the same type of story? I mean, obviously, it's kind of, they're both talking about underage women that were involved in this type of abuse. But on this side, you look at the explosive interview that happened the other day concerning R. Kelly. You had the women, the girlfriends, come out and say, no, this is actually our parents just trying to make money off this. Yet we've really not been able to hear, and that's possibly a good thing, any of the stories from the Epstein situation. Do you think possibly that both men should face the same amount of punishment for their crimes, or in one case, because we don't know everything, that one might be should be more severe than the other?
I think that justice should be blind, and that Epstein should get just as much of ridicule and public shaming that R. Kelly is getting. Both of them are guilty. They all need to be in jail. And the sentence that he served, what was 13 months, that's just ridiculous. I mean, you could just laugh at that. All of those young girls that he abused, and he should still be locked. We should have an island just for people who are pedophiles. Let them just go over and have pedophile utopia all together in one place.
Well, that's the thing, Ned, is we've seen the past few weeks there's also been a couple other things that have come out of South Florida, a long list of names that were involved in some form of possible trafficking, sex trafficking that's going on. Do you think that we should actually know who these individuals are? Should it be released, all of the people that have been friends with Epstein and who actually took these types of trips, that we actually have a full list and know who's all involved, that possibly might have an effect on why the court case is going the way it is?
Well, I mean,
absolutely.
Again, Justice,
lock them all up. Everybody, expose them all. They shouldn't have been doing it in the first place.
Right.
Everybody.
Yeah, absolutely, Ned.
But Scotty, I would also add, I think that there needs to be transparency. We need to know exactly who was involved. Again, this is, as we've been saying, justice is blind. There should be equal application of it. Some people shouldn't be protected because they're more connected. At some point, whether you're just the average citizen on the street or potentially a very well-connected, high-powered political player, it doesn't matter. You should have to bear the full consequences of the law. And I'm telling you, the danger for our republic is when people start to suspect there's not equal application of the law, society starts to disintegrate. This is a very serious issue in my mind.
Well, it's a very serious issue that should no political party line should know. And unfortunately, I believe we're just scraping the surface on so many of these different animals. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.
We live in a really nightmare. Watch out for the we live in a really nightmare. Watch out for the